Hello, Opening Pathways viewers. It's great to have you here today. I have a great guest with me today. I know you're going to enjoy hearing from Dr. Jimmy Davies from Every Dot Black is with me today. Hello, Jimmy. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing well. And yourself?
Good. I'm great. Thank you for being with us today. I'm excited for people to learn about what you're up to. I'm really interested to know and for you to share what first sparked the idea for your company.
Whoa, that's a good question. To give you a little background about myself, coming out of college, had no idea what I wanted to do. Zero. My degree is in applied mathematics, but it was simply because I started off as a land surveyor and didn't like it. And I just asked my counselor, I just need to get out of college. What's the fastest way to get out? Got a job with Social Security Administration and discovered that I did not like working for someone else.
Uh,
And I tried all types of businesses. I tried real estate. I tried selling hot dogs at the county fairs. I sold Amway at a janitorial service. But a friend introduced me to a Macintosh computer, the Mac in 1987. It hadn't been out but a few years. And I immediately took to it, created a computer training service where I was teaching people how to use software, all the software that was coming out during the 90s. And this all leads up to Every Dot Black. But during that time, I really wasn't seeing people of color in my classes too much. I was doing training for government agencies and Fortune 500 companies. I mean, literally everyone. It got to the point I had to hire their instructors. We were covering 40 cities and 12 states, just teaching people how to use software. And then I started specializing as a database developer, FileMaker database developer. But around 2015, as you get older, you start thinking about why am I here? And I started thinking like, I'm always helping other companies, but what do I really want to do? And then I ran into a man by the name of Joe Dudley of Dudley Beauty Products, and he always preached about entrepreneurship. Our community needs to be thinking about being entrepreneurs. And he always says, we need to be job makers instead of just job takers. And that just resonated with me that I realized I need to use my tech skills to help entrepreneurs. And that's the foundation of Every Dot Black. Like I said, I just had to give you the background a little bit. But what we do at Every Dot Black is we offer classes for entrepreneurs and we have weekly meetings, which actually I didn't start. Those weekly meetings have been going on for like 90 years,
wow.
which is another story in itself. Continued by Joe Dudley, and then we're doing it on Zoom. But that was kind of the background for Every Dot Black, to help entrepreneurs with technology
Love
and
this.
to try to close that economic gap.
Yes. Yeah, I've been hearing a little theme with my entrepreneurs lately of I didn't want to work for somebody else. I learned I didn't want to work for somebody else, and that sparked
Yeah.
them on a journey. I'm curious, did you have early role models in your life that had anything to do with what you're doing today?
Uh, Not really, no. To be honest with you, as far as the computers tech, I know I didn't say role models. I did have a couple of cousins. One was a barber and one had a small convenience store. But I really didn't have role models in technology at all. In fact, when I worked for the Social Security Administration, I was there for 6 years. And I told my parents at the time, they're both deceased now, but I told my parents at the time, I'm leaving this government job so I can start my own business. At the time I started a janitorial service. Now, mind you, my mom did cleaning work most of her life to get us through college, and she can understand why am I've got this college degree and leaving, into cleaning. But I just felt like I needed to figure out what I wanted to do for myself. I just felt hampered, restricted. I would have these ideas and things I wanted to try, and to me, like, why should someone else decide when I get a raise or when I can implement an idea or when I can take a vacation? I just realized early on that that just wasn't for me. And I'm not
Yes,
knocking it. It's for some people, but it just wasn't for me.
I got it. I got it. Was there a moment on this path you've been on that you said, "This is it. I know every dot black. is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I think, like I say, once I met Joe Dudley and we would have these weekly meetings, and obviously he was a mentor of mine. We would have these weekly meetings reading about entrepreneurship, and he actually started off with like $10 and created a business bringing in over 36 million a year and hundreds of employees. And one of the things he always did was just mentor anyone else that wanted to go into business. And so during these meetings, we're reading about entrepreneurship. We'd read Think and Grow Rich, and we read
Oh,
a book. I mean, Think and Grow Rich is like a classic, right? But also the S.B. Fuller book, which was who his mentor was, and just understanding the way I put it is like, and I think I talk about our community, African American community. We're out of slavery. We've got civil rights, but there's this economic gap, huge. And I just believe that in order to close it, we have to, like I said, we have to be entrepreneurs. And any type of business you have today, you need some tech skills. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you
yes.
got to have some tech skills. And so it's just an obvious combination of entrepreneurship, which I was, and technology, which I taught people how to use software. And it made sense. And that was the birth of Every Dot Black, officially in 2018.
And likely now be brushing up on some AI skills too.
Oh,
It seems
yes.
without a doubt, right?
Yes, absolutely. I tell people in the future there'll be two types of businesses, right? One that uses AI and those that don't. Or those that don't, I should say, will be out of business. The ones that use AI
Yes.
business is that big of a game changer. And like I said, I've been teaching people how to use software since 1988, and this is the biggest thing I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's your time.
My theme is embrace.
Yeah.
Embrace whatever level it is, but embrace it and learn about it and understand it better than what you're hearing in some of the naysayers in the media. I'm curious, on this journey so far, has there ever been a time where you doubted your vision? And if you did, how'd you get through it?
I don't know if I ever doubted my vision. I just knew that I always felt that I was born for something uh, significant. And I learned that not going to school for, computer software or training, I was a natural at it. And also I had a lot of patience with people. So to just have the patience to help people through it. In fact, I tell people I started my computer training service before I could afford a computer and didn't know how to use one, but I could afford the books. I'd read the books, and that's how I learned how to use it. And then I would learn on my clients' computers in the beginning. Um, but I always just felt that there was something that I was born to do. And once I recognized my talents, the natural ability to understand the technology coming out and also the patience that I have to teach others. I just think that we all have talents, and if we don't use them, then it's almost sinful to me. It's like that's what we're here for, and we're all special, we're all different,
Every one of us.
yeah. And so we should be all thinking about how can I make a difference in this world while we're here? To me, that's just how the way I've been.
Yes, yes. What's been the biggest turning point at Every Dot Black so far?
Oh, the biggest turning point every dot black. Um, Probably COVID. And I say that because we were meeting in person before COVID. We would meet at a local place. I'm in the Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina area. We would meet at a little facility each week. But when COVID happened, and actually we were thinking about going virtual anyway, but when COVID happened, we went virtual, had our meetings on Zoom. And that opened us up to the world because now we're having people attend the meetings from all over the world. We have a meeting every Monday night. We just had a great one last night. And we have speakers from all over the world. The location don't no longer matters.
Yes.
So that really was a boom, as bad as COVID was itself. that really was a blessing for us in the sense that we grew quite a bit at that time. And sadly, I'm seeing some of that same resurgence right now over the last under this current administration. And I don't want to get into that because I'm very opinionated, but we're seeing some need for people looking um, s- for an income or how to increase income or looking to
Yes.
have a business because they don't know if their job is going to be around. So.
Yes, it's definitely a time for people to think about what they're doing and what they might need to be doing. I'm curious, these early days that you had with Every Dot Black, did you learn anything about trust?
Whoa. Um, that's a good question. I think take, I try to approach every new relationship, give every relationship or person or come whatever trust. I assume that everything is on the up and up unless there's some reason not to.
Yes.
Um, uh, I think trust also, like any relation, once you get to, you have enough interaction with someone, you start to get to understand who they are, what they are a little bit. Hopefully, they get to understand who you are. And that just takes time in a lot of cases. I for give you an example. One guy who's a part of our group, his name is Lafayette Jones. And he actually is another mentor of mine, but he was the vice president of marketing for John Johnson with Jet and Ebony magazine back in the day. And he had met me at Mr. Warner Dudley's mastermind meetings, but he said he watched me for a couple of years before he actually approached me. He wanted to see if I were, I guess, legit or whatever. But then he approached me, and now for the last 5 years, he's helped me understand national marketing, which is he's a genius at it. If you heard of Redenbacher popcorn, he's the marketing person behind that. And I've helped him with his technology.
Oh, there you go.
And so we have this weekly meeting where I throw out marketing questions and he throws out tech questions, and we come away a little better and a little, more educated in things that we
I
didn't
love this.
before.
I call this the energy of support, knowing
Yeah.
that we need the support of others, and in doing so, we can support them. It's the best. I'm interested to know, you technology focused in your background. In today's world, technology is moving so fast and innovations are happening at light speed. And I'm curious how you engage with those technologies and keep up at the same time sustainability of keeping the lights on.
Well, I don't know if anyone can keep up with everything. It's moving so fast. But I do know that whatever field that you're in, if once you're in it, you begin to see the needs and 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 then you start to think, how can I make this particular product service a little better? And as far as me keeping up, I try to make sure that our members, we provide classes on the basics like Google Docs or Google Sheets or Word, how to create your own podcast or create your own video. But sometimes members come to me, if enough members come to me and they say, hey, we want to learn XYZ, then I say, hey, well, let's look into it. Um, or I'll find someone that does know it because no
Yeah.
one knows everything. It's just there's too much in the beginning. Me and my buddies, we would learn all the software, but you realize soon that you can't keep up
Can't
with
keep
everything.
up with it all, right? Yeah.
And that's when I started specializing in database development, which I realized that I had a real knack for.
Tell me, I know I want to know, and I'm sure my viewers do. Tell me about a risky decision you made that paid off and what gave you the courage to act on it.
Well, going back to my computer training, like say, I realized that there was a significant need, and I was living in Virginia at the time, Newport News, Virginia, and I wanted to expand. So I reached out to some magazines like Macworld and Mac Today. I don't even know if they're still around anymore, but they were magazines for Mac users since I was a Macintosh training service. and I bought their subscription list for the entire state of North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama. I wanted to buy all their subscribers because if they're getting Mac magazines, they have Macintosh computers likely. And I forget how much it costs, but basically between the buying the subscription list and these magazines sometimes will often sell your name, by the way, to
Yes,
someone
they will.
who's interested in whatever that magazine is about. And then getting the flyers printed and labeled and mailed, it costs about $5,000 that I didn't have. So I sold my car to raise the money. I had a Grand Prix at the time. I sold my car and raised the money to send out the mailing. And the other thing I did, I wouldn't do one city at a time. I'd do 5 or 6 cities at a time so that offer classes in those cities at one time. And then also had to get the computers and travel and set up a classroom. I'd get a hotel like Hilton or something. But by doing 5 or 6 cities, I would share the risk so that if one city bombed out or two, the others would carry it.
Mm,
And it worked. It worked. And within a year, I was able to buy myself a new car, bought myself my first new home. Uh,
wow.
then a year, about a year and a half after that. So that was a risk. And I was young enough, sometimes I think I was young enough to be naive enough to just jump out there and do it.
Just do it.
Sometimes as we get older, we're a little hesitant, but yeah. But I've always had that spirit of believing in myself, and I think that comes from our parents. I have a sister, it's just the two of us, but our parents always said that we could achieve anything if we're willing to work at it and put our mind.
Yes,
And they also told us to get an education because that's something no one can ever take from you,
that's right.
even though they didn't like it when I said I'm leaving my government job.
Yeah.
But once they saw that I was actually making a living at it, and there was an article in Ebony magazine at the time about African Americans in the technology, and they had a small feature about me, and that was like my mom like, oh yeah, he's in Ebony magazine.
That's right. He's gonna be okay.
He's gonna be all
He
right.
made it to Ebony. He's gonna be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
I love that story. What have you learned about building teams and leadership?
I try to lead by serving. I think real leadership is leading by serving. What I mean by that is how can how can we help one another? How can I help you? What is it that you need um, that that maybe I can provide, or even if I can't, maybe I can steer you in the direction of someone that can. And that's worked well for me. And I believe that, and I've heard, and I don't remember exactly where, but they say if you haven't been successful enough, then it's because you haven't served enough people yet. And I believe that. So I just try to um, help those around me, especially if I see someone that is willing, that has the initiative that wants to make a difference in their life.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, if there's someone that is just sitting at home watching TV eating potato chips and you know, good luck. But if there's someone and
Yes.
it doesn't matter how wealthy they are or how educated they are. To me, it's like, do they have that desire? Do they really want to do it? Is there something in them that maybe I can help or be a part of in some way? Because people have poured into me over the years. And in fact, Nolan Burke, he's one of my mentors back in the day. And we had this great idea to have a professional waiters academy. Waiters and restaurants don't give you good service. We're going to teach them how to do that. And he put the money in, and I did the legwork. Everyone thought it was a great idea, but none of the restaurants wanted to pay for it. So
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
we learned
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. I love this idea because I'm sure you'll agree with me in serving others, we receive. And
Yes.
those of us that have either done well or learned a lot and have things to share, I think we have a responsibility to move it forward and empower others as well. It's a big part of my life. What
That's true.
values are non-negotiable in your organization?
Well, let me share this about Nolan because I offered to pay him his money back and he refused to accept it. He told me, he's been passed on now. He told me just help someone else down the
I
road,
love this.
you know. What principles, well, let's see. Oh, you have some tough questions. And I watched a few interviews to get a feel for this, and it's harder when you're on the spot. What
Yes, you're doing a
principles?
great job.
Well, thank you. I think just be genuine. You know, you got to be yourself. Uh, just be genuine and truthful and kind, compassionate. There's some things. The one thing I'm very easygoing, but the one thing I don't like is when I see someone purposely being mistreated by others. I've seen in my childhood, I've seen that happen to other children. I was blessed to come from a loving home, but that just really bothers me, especially if I see others that are abusing, mistreating people. Uh,
Yes,
and in a few cases, in the last, since we started Every Dot Black, there's only been two instances where I had to ask someone to leave our organization because I felt that their motives weren't right. Either they were trying to scam someone or were just rude to other members. But for the most part, 99% of the people are just, we're all just out there trying to make a difference and trying to have a business of some type.
yes, yes. Good wise words here today. Um, what's your boldest vision for Every Dot Black for the next 5 years?
Well, I mentioned Joe Dudley because I have to go back to this because he was an entrepreneur for 50 years. And in 2019, he has been recording all of his meetings and speeches and things. He had like tons on VHS tape and cassettes. And some of them were getting old and molded and brittle. And I said, Mr. Dudley, we've got to preserve this content. And he agreed. So we started digitizing some of those old VHS tapes. He even had the beta, if you remember beta back in the day. He had all this content. And we've also been recording all of our content. And to me, it's like we've got all of this valuable information that over the next 5 years, I just want to digitize and share it. It's got to be these lessons learned. How did he create $1 million business starting with $10? You know, or some of the members that come through Every Dot Black that have done some great things. Just yesterday, one of the members said she was just elected president of her local Rotary Club. I mean, that's just you know, but it's that kind of story. And if others can hear the lessons learned from those that have done it, so that's the one thing I want to do over the next 5 years is how can I convert all of this content that we have, whether it's Mr. Dudley's, and I'm talking about probably about 3,000 pieces of content. We've recorded a lot, podcasts and things like that, but they're not all shared to the masses. And so that's my personal goal. The other thing is that at this age, I'm 70 years old, and I've been looking for, and I think I've identified someone that can carry on the message
Yes,
because I don't want it to end with me, and I can't go do it forever. So those are a couple of things. One, I want to convert a lot of this content and share it with the world, and then make sure that the organization itself carries on beyond me. And to be honest with you, sometimes I just get tired. So,
yes. Well, it sounds like the organization is, along with you, is making a huge contribution. So I'm glad you're looking at that.
yeah.
Um, that's really good. What challenge or opportunity is pulling you forward right now? Anything specific that's got you?
I want to tell that Fuller Dudley story.
Please
A lot
do.
of people don't realize the Fuller was the man that mentored Dudley, and he mentored John Johnson. Mentioned of Jet Ebony magazine. A lot of people don't realize mentored Mary Kay, and he also started with like humble beginnings and became a multimillionaire. People don't know those stories, And so we recorded, oh, I should back up too. When COVID happened, instead of just converting VHS tape, we couldn't go to his home because of COVID. So we started interviewing people that had been working with him for 30, 40, 50 years. And we interviewed over 250 people and these stories um, that I just want to get them out there. Um, so that's the challenge I think right now is like I've
Yes.
got all this content and lessons that so many people can learn from
And how
online.
do we get it out there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. 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 I'm curious what shifts you see in culture today that is lighting you up.
I think I have faith in the younger people, younger generation. And I say that because when I think my parents, my mother was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, and my father was from Louisiana. And I don't believe either one of them ever had a white friend because of the way they grew. And I grew up in an integrated school. I grew up in Michigan, but a lot of the people that I know here in North Carolina did not grow up, suffered segregation. So I have a daughter and a granddaughter, and when they talk about their friends, unless they say something specific, they could be white, black, Hispanic. I don't know. And so
Yes.
see that generational breaking down of color and race and stuff, and I think that's beautiful. I that's why I have a lot of faith in the next generation. Once some of us old folks die out, and I do I have faith, and I think that's also why a Barack Obama can become president because he was judged on his ability and not his skin
Yes.
color. So, and
As
we
we
all,
all should.
yeah,
We
absolutely.
all should be.
And we've all almost had two female presidents, and so yeah, I have faith that in the long term that that we're going to be okay, but getting there is going to be a little bumpy here.
Yeah, yep, I think so. I think, but maybe it's always been a little bumpy and different times in the journey here along with us. And I love young people. I have the good fortune in my career of having worked with different generations, and I find that there's one thing in common. When you're the young generation, you get labeled as lazy. You're not working hard enough, or if you just apply yourself, those kind of things. And I think that just like I was when I was that age, they're trying to find their way. And I think those of us that have been around for a while are here to help mold them, guide them, and share what we've learned and not judge them. So I think it's really important. What advice would you give an emerging leader today or founder? What would you want them to hear?
Start. Um, just start. I learned once from a conference, and it makes a lot of sense to me. He says that the largest advantage that a small business has is speed. It's better to try it, learn from it today, than think about it and contemplate about it for weeks. And it's a journey. It's a journey. And the longer you delay starting, the longer you delay being on path of figuring it out, you're going to have failures along the way. It happens. But I look at their learning experiences, or I've heard it said, I cannot see, you're in California. I can't see you from Durham, North Carolina, but I can get in my car and get on in a plane and I can expect to get there. But if I run into a detour, I don't just stop and turn around and go home, right? If there's an accident or something on the road, I find my way around that. And that's what entrepreneurship is like. There will be
Yes.
detours, but just start and be persistent. You'll get there, whatever that thing is that you want to do. Um,
Yes.
and I have a personal saying too. I say that, change is whenever there's change, there's opportunity, and change is
Absolutely.
constant. Since change is constant, there's always opportunity.
I love that. Those are wise words. Those
So
are
thanks.
wise words, Jimmy. I have a final question for you.
Sure.
If you were your younger self listening to this video that we're making, this podcast, what would you say to them?
Ooh, my first thought was pick a spouse more wisely. because well, let's just say it didn't work out because we weren't on the same path in life. Uh,
Yes.
Did I just put it that way? But yeah, I would say you just gotta jump out there and go for it. It took me a while to um, not worry what other people thought, but to follow my own dream. Not worry about what my parents or cousins or anyone thought. I had to find my own way, and it took me a while to do that. Before I decided, like I said, my parents didn't want me to leave that government job. I had a cousin, he swore to me, "Oh, Jimmy, don't get with that Apple. You got to stick with IBM." He was the older generation. IBM was the thing.
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
but
Yes.
I said, I really like what Apple's doing. And years later, he said, "You know what?" He says, "Jimmy, you're right." He said, he said, "I didn't see it at the time." But I say you gotta follow your own dreams. Start. Don't let anyone dissuade you. Don't worry about what other people think about you. Just if it's in your heart,
Yes.
it would bother me. It would bother me if I had this idea and I did not do it, and then Joe Blow comes along and does it.
That's right.
And it's
The,
like,
the only difference is they did it. That's the
exactly,
only difference. The idea is
exactly.
still the same. Dr. Jimmy Davies, you have given us a great, great lesson today and a lot of wisdom. The founder and CEO of Every Dot Black. What would you like us to know as a final thought about your business?
Join us, and if you don't join us, join some group. Because as an entrepreneur, a solo entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur, budding entrepreneur, you need a network. You can't do it alone. You got to find some like-minded people, find your tribe, whether it's Area Black or whatever group that fits what you're trying to do. And sometimes that might mean you need to cut out some people in your life, but you got to find your tribe.
Yeah.
So,
Jimmy Davies, thank you for being with me on Opening Pathways today.
well, thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
You are most welcome. And to my viewers, this is Tom Lenoble with Opening Pathways, and I will see you next time.